All right, everybody, happy Monday. What a day it's going to be today. As you may or may not seen, I dropped a little non-spoiler review of Eternals. Still non-spoiler, but I'm going to have a longer conversation about it with my boy Coy Jandreau, who saw the film with me, and now we finally get to talk about it. It's the non-spoiler review of Eternals, the latest Marvel film. We're going to go into depth on that. A lot of the episode really going to cover that, and the fact, first movie I've seen in the theater in like 2 years. But questions that we have, things that, in general, that there's going to be absolutely no spoilers in this one. I don't want to scare anybody at all because I know the movie has not come out yet. We will be doing a full spoiler review. That will be coming out soon. But we might catch up a little bit on Dune as well. And there's mention of The Sopranos are going to do a prequel series. So little things like that. But the majority of this episode is really going to be Eternals and breaking it down. At least that's what I think. That's the goal. But it's me, it's Coy, it's our show, it's the big thing. Please check us out. And let's get to it, man. It's time to go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the big thing. I'm Kristian Harloff. This is our show here that we do. Joined by this character, Coy Jandreau. Just did the Spider-Man rewatch. Spider-Man 3 just dropped on Friday. Myself, Coy, and Winston. And we talked about it briefly, Coy, on the on that episode of how we were we couldn't stop talking about Eternals.
Twitching to actually have this conversation.
I don't know. You spoiled something for me.
Did I?
Not on purpose. It was you and your stupid theories because you know so much about comic books. You spoiled something. You said something on the show that actually happened.
In Eternals?
Yeah. And again,
okay, we won't do that here.
We'll talk about that on the spoiler review.
That's so funny. I didn't know that until this moment.
It was just something you did when we were talking about it, something you said, and I was like, you bastard.
Guys, I know comics.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
But because I was kind of waiting for it to happen because you said it, and then it did. But anyway, that's for our spoiler conversation. But Coy and we've been talking about Eternals for a little bit, and I told you that this was going to be the one that got me out of the house finally.
2 years.
It's been 2 years since I saw a movie. Cool. The last one I saw, it's almost 2 years, right? But it's Bloodshot, the one with Vin Diesel was the last movie.
What a dichotomy.
I didn't hate that movie as much.
But as far as comic book genre content,
absolutely.
Night and day.
One
of them is an 80s action movie. One of them is this sweeping epic.
Yes. And that's exactly what this film is. This film is a sweeping epic, and you and I spoke about it afterwards. Everyone's been using the word dense for this film. It's appropriate.
Yep.
Everyone has been saying this movie is very long. It is. Should it have been as long as it is? Probably not. Am I happy that it is? Yes, I am.
I liked the length.
I loved the length.
And you know what? I would argue the length is going to keep people that are going to hate it anyway away. I think it's a positive. I inherently like all of it about it.
I think because this movie is so different than other Marvel films that a lot of people who are expecting kind of the Marvel paint-by-numbers formula they've been doing for so long, they're going to not like it. I think that this movie doesn't happen 10 years ago because
5 years ago.
They allowed Chloe Zao to make a Chloe Zao movie, which I can't imagine in a million years. Edgar Wright, different circumstances.
This is the post-Marvel Committee fall apart movie.
Yeah.
To me, I don't know if do you know anything about the Marvel Committee?
No, tell me.
So the Marvel Committee was headed by Ike Perlmutter, which you've heard all sorts of legend about.
Yes.
It was this little brain trust in New York that basically shut down Rebecca Ferguson as the villain in Iron Man 3 because of toy sales, shut down doing an earlier Black Widow movie, caused all sorts of hindrance of people with color or women leading films, had all of these things that basically made it this like phase 1 white problem. All of that was this Marvel Committee, and to me, Eternals was, hey, that's over now, and they made this beautiful film. They made something that was actually what Kevin Feige's been shepherding forward this whole time.
And for me, it's less about the politics of it all when I look at it, because sure, all that stuff warranted, but like I just like the fact, because to me there was no political statements, there was none of this. It was the movie was a movie by a filmmaker who just got to do her thing.
Yeah.
Right? And it didn't have to still have to fit within the story. Basically, every Marvel movie is going to be, this is where we are going. This is what we are focusing on right now. This is the overall story of the Eternals, not to take a shot at Last Jedi, but not like a Rian Johnson thing where it's like, okay, Rian Johnson, make your own Star Wars movie and change up whatever you want. That's not what this is.
Yeah.
This is, and you can speak more about this on the overall Eternal stuff because I don't know enough about it, but what I can tell you is going in, someone who's never read the comics before, the Eternals comics, knowing nothing about them, if you take away, and this isn't a spoiler because it's in the trailer, the references to Thanos and those little things to let you know, hey, this is a Marvel movie.
By the way, yeah.
By the way, without that, this is a standalone science fiction movie that was beautiful. The shots, the scenery, see this in IMAX if you can see it in IMAX, by the way. And it's just so different. And it was, I love new science fiction kind of fantasy films, right?
Yeah.
That's what this was to me. I didn't feel like I was watching a Marvel movie. I felt like I was watching a science fiction film. There were certainly elements like, there's a lot of Superman type stuff in here. Superman, the Flash, like it's their version. Like Icarus is Superman. What's the character's name that's the Flash?
Oh, I forget her name.
Yeah. So that wow, look at you,
Makari.
Wow.
Makari. Didn't have to look it up. Makari. I got scared.
Wow. I've never seen you been stumped before.
Oh no,
stumped the Coy. But yeah. So there's those. This to me seems like there are superhero elements to it. There's no doubt about it. But it just. I don't know, man. I loved this movie. I really loved it.
I think this has more DNA with Dune than Iron Man. And I think that's a really important thing for people going into it.
And you said that before you saw Dune.
And I did.
Yeah.
And then I saw Dune, and I was like, hey, I'm having two amazing experiences that I've not had with anything else. It was really interesting to have these films that felt so beautifully symmetrical without having had either of those experiences ever before. I've never experienced anything like Eternals. I've never experienced anything like,
because it was different.
20 minutes in, I was like, I feel different sensations. And then it ended, and I was like, I would like another 3 hours, please. And that's a really beautiful feeling when you're in something that immersive. The movie puts you in a world in such a way that you want to live in it. Yeah, you're so invested.
There's a lot of there's kind of flashback moments and things that happen to set up. I think I've seen that some of the criticisms was that it wasn't that the characters weren't established enough. I feel the opposite. I thought I cared more about the characters than I felt about a lot of characters recently because I'm watching it and when certain things happen with certain characters, I was like, okay, I'm so invested in them. And because this is a hard thing to do and maybe easier to do because there's a 240 movie or whatever it is. It's hard to make that many characters and make me realize I can look at each one of those characters and say, oh, that's what that person's arc is.
Yes.
That's what that person's thing is. Every person, every one of the Eternals has a thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of magical to be able to do that in that because I still stand by the fact that I beat the drum for television because television is a lot easier to establish characters and make you care.
It's more like a comic book. Serialized, consistent.
It is, but Eternals does a thing that is very rare to do. Whether it's 240 or not, you have a very clear understanding. And once we get into, I mean, there's just like Icarus. You know what Icarus wants to do. They establish that he's the most powerful guy. His mantra, his understanding, and then it's very fun to see both of the Snows going after Cersei.
Yeah.
Like like the fact that was
very clever casting.
That was very
they
clever.
Enjoyed themselves.
They really did. And there are definitely some gripes for sure. And this is
I have way less gripes than I usually do.
Really?
And that's really interesting because not only is this something that proved me wrong, I've always said you needed a series of films leading up to a team film, and then Guardians of the Galaxy showed me you can do it with fun. This showed me you can do it with drama. To me, it's actually beautifully reminiscent of the first time I saw the first Guardians, where I was so like, wait, are they assembling an Avengers-sized team of characters that are even less known? Like a Rocket, a Tree, a Star-Lord. All of that's insane to make one movie work. This is denser, it's dramatic, and it's headier. This movie is a character study that is really a commentary on theology, morality, and mortality, which are way harder concepts than like a talking raccoon and daddy issues. So what this accomplished in one film, it proved to me you could do a Justice League in one movie, and I've always said that's impossible.
Yeah, it's from the way that they establish themselves, and the way the only reason I think it's a difference between like Justice League and this is that what this movie has a leg up on is that you don't know a lot of these characters.
Sure.
Right?
So you're less invested in
some of the argument
Batman's journey.
Yeah, and some of the argument would be like, well, that's because then that should be easier to do a Justice League movie. It's actually harder because you want to set up which actor, how they establish where they're going, what version of it. There's so many different versions of Superman and Batman. Like, it's tougher to do. But this movie, when you set this up and you see these characters and how long they've been around, why they've been around, the journey that they have to go through, the reason for their journey.
Yes.
Selma Hayek is fantastic as Jax.
Ajak.
Ajak. Oh, I was going to say Ajax.
Ajax.
Ajax. She's really good in the role. I think she fits the leadership role. But I got to give kudos to Angelina Jolie. Because when Angelina Jolie was cast in this film, I said, well, it's very similar to how I felt when Will Smith was cast in Suicide Squad. And I was like, this is going to become a Will Smith movie. This is going to become an Angelina Jolie movie. They're not going to get out of the way of the ensemble. I was wrong on both accounts. Because Will Smith was phenomenal in that film. I didn't like that movie, but he was great in the movie. And he fit the cast very well and didn't try to take over and make it a Will Smith film.
Agreed.
Even though his storyline was very prominent, and so was hers, but she just does the job.
Yeah.
And she doesn't try to say, look at me, I'm Angelina Jolie. Here's my big, huge moment. She has her moments, but they're well-deserved.
But they're ensemble moments. They're never,
yes.
I'm showboating or pulling focus.
Never.
All of her focus is appropriate to the story.
Yeah.
And every time you're captivated by her, it's intentional. It's not like Jolie. Like you're shown what to be invested in. And I was so impressed by like 8 leads effectively.
This is the best that she's been in a long time.
Girl Interrupted.
It's a long time. She's been really good in this. Not that she's been bad in other stuff, but it was just like she didn't have to be Angelina Jolie. I bought her as Athena. That's who I saw her as. I didn't see her as Angelina Jolie. So the actress who plays Cersei,
let me get the actress name. I'm way better at that.
She's the really
Gemma Chan.
Okay, so she's the Gemma Chan. So she's the protagonist in this film. I think she's really good in it. I feel like she had the least to do out of everybody.
You know, I had an interesting conversation about, and this is going to stay just as spoiler free, about Dune, where if you're so focused on a lead for a length of movie like this, because Dune's 235, they're very similar in a lot of ways, where you know them more because of runtime. I feel like there's less of those spicy moments, Dune pun intended, where you're going to be like character actor, where you're going to be like this. So I feel like they have to do less at a time. Otherwise, it'd be overwhelming. Think about if they were doing as much gravitas and big.
No, I know, but I just meant character moments in general. I feel like the moments that she had were good, but I just feel like she was the most underdeveloped out of all of the characters. I felt Sprite was very well developed, and there was a reason for a lot of the stuff that she was going through.
Druig's my favorite, man.
Druig is phenomenal. That kid is so. What's that kid's name?
Barry Keoghan, man. Okay, Barry Keoghan. So
he was really good in Dunkirk.
Yeah,
he is really. I mean, he always pops up, and he's really good. I think he reminds me of Tyler Sheridan.
Oh, I see that.
Yeah, and he steals the show.
Can I say, to hear an Irish accent, like I'm Irish, like come on, but like my family's Irish. To hear an Irish accent in a Marvel film, I didn't think would impact me as much. No, but like when it happened, I was like, oh, my people. Like it was so impactful.
He's really good, and again, without spoilers going into it, where they go with him is a really good spot.
Yeah,
and I'll just say that where they go with him, Kyle Manjani.
Man.
I always
Kumail is such a genius. I think what they do with Kumail, Kingo's his character name. What they do with Kingo is they allow us to have the Kumail and eat it too, so to speak. We get to have he gets to be unlike Angelina, he gets to be the character, but it suits Kingo while also suiting Kumail.
It does, because he also has a purpose, right? And he has the things that he does. But Kumail, I thought what he was so good at was he's the one in this movie that if you're missing that Marvel humor, he's the one who suits it. He's the one that puts it in there, the Marvel humor that fits, right? It's not the Guardians of 2, everybody gets a joke stuff. This is more of like, it fits, and there's a great dynamic that he's got with another character that I won't kind of go into, but like that stuff played well. There was a couple times where it felt it was weird because you're watching like this kind of beautiful, dramatic film, and then these comedic moments popped in, like, oh, we need it to get a little funnier so it's not too drab right here. You felt that? And that's
like twice, but that's not bad.
It's not bad.
But yeah, no, I think I know 2 specific moments that like.
But as far as the density goes, and as far as what you will ask people to do, and even we've just done it already 5 times already in this review, is you have to keep going back. Wait, who was that? What was their name? It's like a Game of Thrones episode.
Because I don't want to get it wrong now in spoiler free and have you have an association with the character, so I'm just double checking. Like they're dense names, and like Phastos is a name that you only hear a couple times, and he's a very important character, Brian Tyree Henry's character.
He's great,
but you only hear his name a couple times, so you really have to be focused up because that's an essential part of the entire team. But it's not badly written, because you know when you watch like a bad like a student film and they're like, hey Jim, how you doing, Bob? Hey Bill.
No.
And they don't let you have that. They trust you as an audience, and I think that's the strength of this film is Marvel trusted Chloe Zhao, and Chloe Zhao trusted us to be invested.
Is it Zhao?
Is it Zhao or Zhao? I thought it was Zhao.
I don't know.
It's with a Z. I just don't know how to pronounce
it. Zhao, but maybe you're right. I mispronounce everything. So
one of us is right.
Right. So, but either way, she does a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
And
she trusted us.
And she does, and I think that's the thing. The question is, it's the audience. If the audience is ready for this type of movie, where you have all your superhero moments. I mean, those moments are in there for sure. It's just there are those long sweeping shots. There is those dramatic shots, like if someone. Like in normal, the usual Marvel movies we've seen, everything's fast, boom, 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 boom. She takes her time with the shot. If people are holding your hands, you'll get a close up on the hands.
Yeah.
And is it just to do an artistic shot? It's not. It's the impact of the moment. It's the reason for why it's happening, and that is what was so fascinating to me. Is that like the way that she was telling a story throughout her imagery, I didn't want to leave. Like, I had to pee one point. I'm like, don't tell me everything. It's like I didn't want to miss anything.
Yeah. And it's a dense enough movie that even though it's 240, you can't really leave. When you came back, I had to explain a decent amount, and you were gone like 2 minutes.
I was gone. It was really fast. I'm a fast peer,
and it's close. The bathroom was right there. But like, there's a lot going on every 2 minutes.
It's a long hallway that theater. But either way, there's a lot going on. It's something that I think I definitely want to watch that movie again.
Same.
And the thing with that film is that sometimes, whether it's a comic book movie or just movies in general, you see the movie, it goes in, you can talk about it, you forget it. Right. As I replay this movie in my head, I remember it all.
I've been thinking about it nonstop too. It didn't leave me when I left. I'm with it now, and I love being in that world.
And music. Who did the score? I don't
know. Look that
Tell
up.
me.
I'm gonna find out. We're gonna look it up.
I'm downloading that score.
It's
it's epic. It reminds me, like, this is why I was where I think. At the time that this comes out, I will have already seen Dune, but at the time,
Ramin Djawadi.
What are the words?
RAMINDJAWADI.
I wonder if that's the same person did the score for Dune.
Let's find. That'd be interesting. Westworld, Game of Thrones, Iron Man.
Okay,
Pacific Rim, Space Jam, big hit.
Interesting. Game of Thrones, though, that's the main composer for that's. I knew that name. It's the main composer for Game of Thrones. And you felt it.
Yeah, 100%.
And you felt it. And as far as Kit Harington goes, I don't want to talk about his role in general because I don't want to get too into the plot for the beginning. I could just say he's the boyfriend of Cersei.
Yep.
Who then finds out what's going on. They go on their mission. Everybody reconnects, and they have to connect this team again. But the connection to the team and just the way that all played out and. I told the line.
It's a tricky
of what I want to say.
Yeah, because the next time is going to be bananas.
Yeah,
but But I will say that as a Kirby fan, anyone that's watching this wondering how they handle the Kirby stuff, you've seen a Celestial in the trailer. You're not ready to see one in a theater.
Right.
It's
especially
so powerful. It is so it is. Way more. I remember watching trailer reactions because I was like, what are people going to think of this? And then everyone going, and you can tell the people that are like fans of the comic, you're not ready if you like Celestials for the scope of this movie.
It's the other thing is that everyone was talking about what Marvel's going to do after Infinity War, right?
Yeah.
Well, they're swinging for the fences, dude, because this is again, Marvel would never be able to do this movie 10 years ago without the success of the Marvel machine, because this is a very risky movie, not only for the scale of it, not only for the difference in filmmaking, but for the complexity of what it is and how it kind of ties into things. And again, you just know from the trailer that here's this group of Eternals who've been around forever, can't really interfere in human beings' lives, but they've been watching over us for a long time. And as far as the who, the why, the when, and all that starts to play in, if you've been watching like What If and Loki and all, like, they're just going for these big moments. And if you've seen the trailers for No Way Home, like, they're going more out there with the multiverse and everything that they've done. So they're like, this phase of Marvel will lose people. It'll gain a lot of people, but it'll lose people. Like, I think that when there's going to be a lot of people watching this movie going, wait, what? Who? Wait, what is that? That
I
has
think
to play
the benefit
in
of it is the 10 years, because like the MCU started 13 years ago. People that were 15 that are 28 now. So I think it's smart to let it mature now. I think it was smart to wait the 10-year mark and then let it mature, because now we're all at least 10 years older. But like if you're in an age where you're like, oh, Iron Man, you're now probably late 20s.
Yeah.
So there's also the benefit of, like you said, this is really brave. If this was a $2 million art house film with this plot, it would struggle.
Yeah.
This is a $200 million art house film. It's incredible that the Marvel machine is like, hey, we're trusting you enough that you're going to be...
Especially for
this
someone...
is so intricate.
Her budgets before these two, what does she work with? A budget of like maybe $100,000? You look at those two movies
the horse
that she
food
did.
budget.
Dude, that Rider movie... If it cost
the camera,
if it cost $40,000, I'd be surprised.
And
right?
so to go from that
and
with
Nomandland.
just as intricate of a situation,
that's a lot of trust.
Right,
that's a lot of trust inside, and
paid off.
And she annihilates.
Yeah,
she annihilates. I'm such a massive fan of hers and what she pulls off. And like she made a different comic book movie because you were just so used to seeing a lot of the same type of things.
And comic books are so not comic book movie comics. Like, I love that we have this now because people that don't like comic book movies are always like, oh, why would you read comic books for a living? This shows you how much more it can be. And even when you got like a Dark Knight, which really changes it into Heat, like even that, you can still have people that don't like Heat or action movies still be like, comics. This might bring people to show that comic books are very different.
I wonder, though, because, you look at the people who were just the film critics raving over Nomandland and the Rider. If those people are probably the same adamant people who probably think Chloe sold out,
right?
And the fact that they throw the flag into the ground.
Big Marty fans, big Scorsese fans.
Yeah, and they go, okay, we can't see it, we can't do it. I'm curious for people who just like big science fiction. Like if you didn't know this was a Marvel movie and you just because they don't, like I said, there's a couple tie-ins with the MCU and it could go right over in your head, you wouldn't care. There is one particular scene though, without getting into the details of it, that I had to block everyone out in the theater because they're basically screaming at you, pay attention to every single thing said, because if you turn your head for a second, you will not know what's going on. Like, they're trusting in you to be smart enough to look in there and say, okay, so that person that does that and that can I wait what? Because there are a couple times I'm like, wait, what? I need subtitles. And then that,
it's like, a math equation at points.
There is it is complex.
Yeah,
and it is, and for people who are continuing to use the word dense. My favorite is some idiot tweeted at me and was just like, other people are using the word dense, so you're not the first person to say it. I'm like, it's been a word in the English vocabulary so many years.
I made a Fantastic Four William Shatner joke, and it was like, you stole that joke, and I was like, you mean these 4 people going to space in blue suits reminds people of other pop culture events?
So, but
the internet, it's exhausting.
It's exhausting. That's why I don't do it. But it's
here we are, dude, on YouTube.
All right, on the YouTubes. But it I don't know, man. This was a very special movie for me. Not only the fact that, like I said, it's the first one I ventured back into, and that's why I was nervous too. I'm like, do I go to a movie that I haven't been to? Do I really want to see this movie? And then if it's not very good, am I going to be bummed?
Have you seen Shang-Chi?
Not yet.
Okay, so Shang-Chi is, if you've seen Shang-Chi, this will give you some context. I would say Shang-Chi is about 70% Marvel movie, 30% not.
Martial arts, right?
It's very martial arts epic.
I like that.
But it's like a 70...
I would rather have been 70 martial arts.
But there's still the tone you've got to exist in.
Yeah,
I'd say this is 90-10.
Yeah.
Would you agree? Like, this is a 90% not Marvel film.
Yeah.
And that's so what a leap.
That's what I liked.
Because remember, everyone left Shang-Chi like, wow, that didn't even feel like a Marvel movie most of the time. There's still a lot of tonalities. This is 90-10. You can literally, it's Iron Man big as importance.
And I made it clear, like I really enjoy watching the Marvel films. But it was very refreshing to not have a Marvel film.
Yeah.
Even though it was a Marvel film, like it was. I don't know. Like that's why I think that I was so curious about this, because of her work, because of the fact that it seemed like more of like a kind of science fiction crazy movie, and that's what I wanted to see, and the way that played and the way that it sets things up, and like I'm all in. This phase to me is the phase that I really want. I like parallel universes, multiverse, like that's all crazy shit I've been thinking in my head for years, or whether it exists, how it exists. So when they started playing into that, I don't know, people keep telling me I need to watch Dark. I've never seen Dark on Netflix. Have you seen it yet?
Yeah.
See, people talk
very
about
much your speed.
That's what everyone's talking about. So but
also do more acid.
Right, but playing into this and playing into the mythology and where they go. And then say like I forget all the names already. What's our boy with the Irish accents?
Druid.
what a role.
Oh my God.
What a role.
And
I love this
I
purpose.
also want to say that the trailers do an impeccable job of not giving anything away.
No.
They held this so close to the vest because even just now saying Druig, I think of him in the trailer like beep, beep. And we talk about the plot and it's like, okay, they gave some ideas to bring you into the theater, but I didn't know much of the story going into this. They did a really good job marketing.
I think everybody has a lot to do.
Yeah.
That's hard to do with that many people. Like, everybody has a lot to do. And then, so who plays... So Angelina Jolie is paired up with the dude who can do the power punch.
Yeah, Kingo.
Kingo. No, that's not Kingo. Kingo is Camille.
Oh, not Camille. You're right. You're talking about the dude from Train to Busan.
Yes.
His name, I'm going back
because
to, I want to make sure.
He was, because at first I thought it was so fast. I was like, is that Benedict Wong? You're like, no, it's the dude from Train to Busan.
Gilgamesh. How did I forget Gilgamesh? That's a great
right.
name.
And so Gilgamesh is also great. It's amazing how you're able to pack in 240 so much purpose with characters.
Also, I want to say, and I didn't look up the IMDb until this moment, there are 3 people uncredited.
Yeah.
It's only a 20-person cast.
Nuts.
How insane is it? We have
know.
8 leads.
I know.
In a 17-person cast.
And they don't step on each other.
I didn't even put that together.
But they don't step on each other.
At no point watching the movie did I feel like it was spacious. It felt so much.
It did. So,
wow.
Yeah, man, it's going to be... But I am also very aware that when people see this movie, there are going to be a lot of people not feeling this.
Yeah.
A lot of our colleagues
guaranteed.
talking to after the film was already... I mean, we were talking to a few people who were just like, yeah, I didn't buy the team together. I didn't feel like they were the right match. I didn't feel like the casting was right. They were
blew my mind.
Yeah, but I mean, look, but I think that's going to come from some people. I think that why did it need to be so long? It was a little too convoluted. I can see all those criticisms.
Yeah.
I really can. This was just a movie. This movie was made for me, for sure. Like, this is my kind of movie.
I like to think about what religion means to people. So I like movies that are heady, and I like to think about what abstract concepts are to people, and I think about what multiverses are to people, and I like to think about what it is that makes a hero a hero. If you like to think, this is your jam. Like, this is a thinker.
I think that's what it is. You know, it's the fact that, like, I just really like the idea of the film. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's really gorgeous. And like, so I guess a criticism, and maybe I warmed up to it throughout it, is that the overall premise of the film is, once again, is that the Eternals are there and they're protecting. The only time that they can interfere is when the so-and-sos come in.
Deviants.
The Deviants. When the Deviants come in. So the Deviants, I had an issue with at first because they looked CGI-ish to me. Mm-hmm. And I was hoping that she would go more practical effects with them. But as time went on, I think my eyes kind of adjusted to it, because they seemed different, but not really.
It is tricky because it's shot on film, and I think it's really hard for our brains to go, like, that resolution means digital resolution. Right. It's just a different... Our brain absorbs differently.
That was the only thing as far as the overall look. The Deviants, to me, could have looked a little better. But even they had a purpose.
And as an abstract, the Deviants look better than most CGI. I think it's just the juxtaposition on film.
Yes.
Because they look good objectively.
They look fine.
But with film, you're like, I'm watching a sunset and I'm vibing.
Yes, I think as the movie goes on, I accepted it more and more. When it first showed up, I'm like, is this going to be like just another kind of brainless monsters things? Yeah. And they do more with them than just that. So that was why I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Then they got me. So... I mean, look, there's a lot more that we could talk about.
It's 2:40 and it's gonna be a 7-hour conversation.
It's gonna be
It's
gonna be a long time, but you know, the most important thing for you guys to realize, besides just going to see a movie that you like, is that what you really need to do is you got to wash your butts. You got to do it. You got to wash your butts.
Everybody in the MCU has to wash their butts.
You got to wash your butts because do you have any idea what TUSHY is?
I don't.
Do you not know what TUSHY is?
Teach me.
Oh, dude. So we had TUSHY on SEN Live, and they're back now for Big Thing, and I'm pumped. TUSHY is the modern bidet company.
Oh, man, I love bidets.
Dude, it washes away the messiest of poops, leaving you with a better clean than toilet paper. So, you know, look, there's some times when it's just, we all like food. Sometimes food doesn't do the nicest things to our systems, and you can have a rough experience in the bathroom.
Yep.
Well, instead of having to punish your toilet paper, you got TUSHY. Because I have a question for all of you guys. Is your butt clean enough to sit on the couch naked? No, it is not.
There's the bar.
But if you get TUSHY, which is the modern bidet that attaches directly to your toilet. And how long do you think, Coy? How long do you think it takes to put it together? Under 10 minutes, Coy.
I was not going to go. I was going to go 30. I was going to be ambitious.
Under 10 minutes. Imagine all the weird stuff that you can do with a tushy behind you. If you get poop on you or any part of your body, you'd probably just wipe it right off. No, you'd wash it. Stop wiping and start washing with Tushy, the modern bidet. It attaches directly to your toilet. The second we got one of these, I was so excited. It feels so classy.
Yeah, it's very high class feeling. It's like,
you don't ever want to wipe your butt ever again. You want to wash it.
It's archaic when you think about it.
It is. You have to. It is the modern bidet for people who poop. You just poop, you wash, and you pat dry. And guess what? Everybody poops.
If you listen to this, you poop. We know it.
The Tushy bidet. This is what it features. It washes your butt with water for a better clean than toilet paper. Washing with water is less irritating and more soothing for your asshole. It's easy to install. It attaches to the toilet in under 10 minutes. There's no electricity or plumbing needed. Using a Tushy bidet reduces your toilet paper use by 80%. It saves you money. It's eco-friendly, and it's stylish. Tushy has a full product line to help make the restroom the best room, which includes Tushy Automan, which is the sleekest toilet stool designed to help you poop at 100% of the time. It's rated #1 by Wirecutter. New Tushy brush. It's the only. It is the new toilet brush with disposable scrubbing pads, so you can use a clean brush every time. And there's much more. But if you want to start washing with a Tushy bidet for a better clean, go to hellotushy.com/SENlive. Get 10% off plus free shipping. It's a special offer for Big Thing listeners at hellotushy.com/SENlive for 10% off after you buy and install your Tushy. Show it off. Tag us at hellotushy on Instagram. It's awesome. I'm happy they're back. I loved.
Yeah. I'm a bidet guy. I don't know them, but I'm gonna learn.
People get. They're like, well, I don't know. I'm so used to. People are not used to things.
Right. I mean, humans are so habit forming.
Right.
We just get stuck in our ways.
Make the habit washing your ace.
I mean, this movie changes the Marvel universe. Change your butt universe.
Change your butt universe. How well do you think this movie's going to do? Remember, because it's
gonna logistically, it's gonna be hard to do well because of the length. Because you can only schedule 3 a day in a house.
I know, but there's other movies that with Dark Knight and
sure. But if you think about the actual logistics of housing a movie, if a theater's open 12 hours, you get 4.
You only get so many screenings, depending on how many screenings Disney rented out. But there's less competition these days and more theaters that you can play it in.
And it's sold out all over. I just looked.
That's what I mean.
So I think it's gonna do well.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a big first weekend. I think it's gonna be a decent drop. People are gonna be like, Marvel's dead, and then I think it's gonna have legs from week 2 to 3 to 4. But I think week 1 to 2 is going to drop because it's not going to be for everybody. And then I think it's going to be the biggest polarity in Rotten Tomatoes score for Marvel yet.
As far as audience goes.
I think critics are going to like it more than the audience by a lot.
Yeah.
I think audiences are going to put it in the 40s.
Wow.
And I want them to put it in the 80s, and I think critics are going to put it in the 80s. Maybe the 90s.
I wonder.
I put it in the 90s.
I do too.
I rated it really highly.
I don't come out of this movie, though. I know we might differ, but I don't come out of this movie thinking, how is everybody not going to love this thing? I understand where people are going to. Some people are going to be like,
I get it.
I don't get it.
But I disagree.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that if you don't get it, you're stupid, which is people are going to argue because people are angry all the time. But I am saying that there's something in this for almost everyone, but they might not find it. Like might be.
It's really asking you to and to be fair, some people just go to the Marvel movies to just slam popcorn in their face, have some fun, and move. Like, this is asking you to really put on your thinking cap, watch everything, pay attention to every little
that's
detail.
why I brought up the math and religion, like all the things that make you think, like when you lean back.
It does. It does. I thought it was great, man. I really did. But speaking of Dune, moving on to Dune, as I said, by the time this comes out, I will have seen it. My review's probably up. You saw it last night in real time. What thoughts overall?
Incredible how much I was putting the two movies we're talking about together.
Yeah, do you feel the same way, though? That people are going to feel like it's either...
It's going to be the same audience that loves it.
You think I'm going to like it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
But it's the same audience that will have problems with both, and it's the same audience that will love both, and they're different movies, but there's a lot of tonality choices, and there's a lot of patience. There's a lot of having you think. But I would say Dune is, which is incredible because Eternals is dense, Dune's denser.
That's what I heard.
So Dune
is a book.
I mean, the books and
I think I'm going to watch it with subtitles. I think
that's fair.
I think that's one of the reasons why I like the in-day release.
Yeah.
Because there's certain movies I like with subtitles.
Movie theaters have subtitles now. AMC just installed a thing where you can read it while you're watching. They have a little screen right in front of you.
I don't want to do that.
That's fair.
So I'd rather watch it on the actual screen itself because I can still pay to do this.
Well, the big release is opening weekend. They're starting to do one house with subtitles on the screen.
Okay.
So they're starting to do one house.
It depends on the movie. Now, every movie I don't want that,
Sure.
but like a movie like Dune.
But Dune might.
Yeah, I mean, I know some people like watch it the first time and then watch it with subtitles. I don't have that much time.
Yeah, that's 5 hours of your life.
That's a lot.
Almost 6.
But I'm looking forward because I planned out. That's why we're taping this today, because we'll have this episode up, and I already have Mondays pre-taped, and Steph is going to come over earlier, so we do the Star Wars rewatch. That's probably up already.
And you'll have seen Dune by the time we do our spoiler Eternals.
I will have seen by the time this comes out.
Yeah.
I will already have a review up already.
So it'll be great for you and I to, when we get to the spoiler, have a deep dive.
To go both. But so Denis Villeneuve, I'm sure murders it. Yeah.
He's probably my favorite working director
Yeah.
next to Fincher, and Fincher doesn't put out a lot of, like, Fincher takes like 5 years between movies.
Yeah.
I think most consistent and good, Denis. Blade Runner is impossible, and I would argue Prisoners is maybe the most underrated film of the last 20 years.
Wow.
Like, Prisoners is,
a good movie.
I think it's an A+, and I think it's talked
Good
about
movie.
by like 7 people. So,
When it
I mean,
first
ain't
came
underrated,
out-
you really got to look at it.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about it now.
When it first came out, it was kind of a big talk, but yeah, then it just kind of went under the radar. But
There's not a lot of A+'s that
Arrival
don't.
to me is
Is that his?
Arrival. I love Arrival.
But people talk about Arrival, and
Of
I just feel
course.
like Prisoners is
course.
like weirdly an A+ that everyone's like, yeah, we like it.
I agree. I'm just saying out of all of them, Arrival's my favorite.
And this is that.
Yeah, okay.
This is Blade Runner. This is Arrival.
The reason I love Arrival so much is because to me, like as I was telling you, like I'm time travel and the way time works and all that. Like I'm fascinated by it, and I think that's the most accurate description of the way time travel works. If in my
I love
head,
that. Yeah.
in Arrival, the way that they play that and the way that it works. Like I so much, even talking about it, I want to see it again. It's one of my favorite movies, especially for that year, and I like his approach. I don't like the way that he's been going about with Dune, getting people in the theater and kind of telling people that if you're watching it on HBO Max is wrong and blah 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 blah. Like, I got a family.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a
It
theater
ain't-
guy, but I don't have a family, so
Yeah,
I can't speak to your experience.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that he should either.
It's easy. It's easy to it's easy for a lot of people to get out to the movie theaters, and it's not.
Yeah.
You know, like I had to make the move to get to Eternals, and that was the first one that I chose at a long time. I'm gonna start dipping my toe back in the water, and I had an opportunity to see both back to back.
Yeah.
You know, one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, but I didn't because again, it's hard to do with the family. But I really want to see Dune, and
Yeah.
I'm very curious about it.
So I liked it because I knew nothing about it. I'd never
Yeah.
seen the original, and
The
I didn't
original
read the book.
doesn't count, though. Yeah.
But like, so it was really
Yeah.
nice for me to be able to enjoy some sci-fi without context.
Yes.
Because I'm always going into these
Right.
movies like,
Knowing-
connect the
right,
dots.
right.
And it's really
That's
a struggle.
how I went into Eternals. Was
You get to experience
I
it.
got to experience,
Which is hard for me because I know people are going to be wondering what I thought of the connections. And this time I got to be like, yo, I'm just watching a movie.
That's cool.
And it was really nice because it deals with concepts that I really love
Yeah.
in ways that I hadn't even thought of. So it's kind of cool when you have a thought experiment and you're like, hey, and
Right.
then they do it in an action set piece.
right.
And
How was
so,
Chalamet?
oh, dude,
Really good?
I loved him, but
Yeah.
a lot of people I know have the problem you had with Gemma Chan. And I don't think that's
Not enough to
just not enough.
to-
But
yeah.
I would argue it's because they have so much more time.
So who
if
has
they
the
did-
most to do?
I mean,
Momoa?
I feel like I feel like everyone that's
Except
supporting is stealing every scene they're in because if he did that, it would be too big of a movie.
I'm pumped to see it. I'm gonna do the same thing I did with the Suicide Squad, and even what I've been doing with the Spider-Man. I'm gonna shut
Yep.
the blinds. I'm gonna block everything out. Probably grab a snack, pump up the surround sound, and just
Have your
watch it in
theater.
here.
I think
That's it.
Ferguson and Brolin are my MVPs.
Okay.
Ferguson is everything she's in. I'm always like enamored
yeah,
by
yeah.
her. And Zendaya is, I don't know how she exists. Like she's such
so
an
good in it.
ethereal. Like what are you?
It's great.
And then like even in Spider-Man, I'm always like she's just so transfixing.
Yeah.
But this movie knows that. So I feel like in the Spider-Man movies, they're like, look, it married MJ, and then like, how is this woodland nymph creature here? And they just ignore it. And then in this, they're like, we found a woodland nymph
Right,
creature.
right.
So I really enjoyed them leaning into how I see her.
Yeah.
And then the movie itself, spoiler alert, psychedelic advocate. There's this thing called spice,
Yeah.
which is
that's in the
it's
trailer.
I'm not giving anything away.
Yeah.
The spice is a multi-function thing that makes me feel like it's a very pro my experience of certain things movie, and that's such a foundational thing. It's really cool to see in a sci-fi movie them make that distinction.
Yeah.
So then it gets into politics, then it gets into religion, then it gets into all sorts of giant hierarchies
so you
of
gotta
power.
think again.
Yeah.
I like it. So two thinking movies back to back. I dig it.
It's everything.
I dig it.
It's also like colonization commentary, but on a scale that makes America look. It's so cool to look at us from a lens that isn't an American lens, and this movie is very much not the American take on colonization.
I'm so bizarre. It's so bizarre to think that right now there's a review up already of Dune from me, as I talk about it as I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
where I either really liked it or I hated it.
Arrival.
Right.
You're having time.
It is. So it's so curious to see. So what did I think of it, guys?
Yeah, I'm really curious what you thought of it.
So if you're watching this show right now, what did I think of it? Did I like it?
Leave a comment below with Kristian's thoughts from the future.
Tell me from the future. You were able to see in the future if you watched my Dune review. Put it in the live chat if you're watching this on Premiere or in the comments, and tell me, did I like it? Should I be excited for it? Because that's gonna be a blast. I'm looking forward to doing that. I took the morning off to make sure that I can watch that movie so I could put the review out. My Eternals review will be out on Sunday. That's also already out.
Preceding this.
All right, so you've already seen that, and then our spoiler review will come out. I think that we'll probably put it out the weekend. The movie comes out this Friday, so sometime maybe it's Saturday or Sunday. We'll put it up.
Yeah, we'll give a lot of warnings, and we'll probably save some of the later stuff for the later review. But
yeah,
I think
I'll probably put it out on Sunday and put like a big spoiler warning on it that just says it's a spoiler review.
Yeah,
only check it out if you've seen the movie, because it's gonna have a big enough opening weekend that people will be.
I think Sunday's fair for the people that want to watch it. They'll have seen it. Yeah,
we have seen it. And if you haven't, don't click on it.
There you go.
There you go.
Come back later.
That's it. So you got Dune, you got Eternals coming out. So the big movies are hitting. And you saw Ghostbusters. Let's get into that.
Man.
So Ghostbusters too. Are you allowed to talk about that? Or is it still embargo?
I can give the Vegas thoughts.
Gosh,
I can give social media thoughts.
When's the embargo?
The movie's out until mid-November. So
really?
I would imagine, yeah, dude.
Oh, wow. So
I saw it wicked early.
Okay.
But I can social media tell you that it is probably my favorite of the retro
movies
rebuilds.
Yeah,
because they do them so well in a way that's like tongue in cheek. This is the heart of Ghostbusters.
It connects to the first two,
and it doesn't do it in a way that's like love us. It does it in a way that's like, hey, do you remember why you loved us?
Right.
We're gonna make that movie. This feels like an '80s film.
Original theme.
And it also, Ivan Reitman, so I can say about the experience because that they've aired. Jason directed it, his son, Ivan Reitman's son, but Ivan Reitman's chair was connected to director chair. So they were literally side by side the whole time.
That's awesome.
So Jason directed it, but
his dad was there helping out.
Literally, I got a shoulder. So it was really cool. The cast is really darling. I ended up covering it for Sony at New York Comic Con, so I got to meet the whole cast.
Oh, that's cool.
I got to be the first civilian to thank Jason and Ivan Reitman.
That's great.
Just as a Ghostbusters fan, I didn't
Did
realize,
you moderate the panel?
So I went to cover the boys panel, and then I knew a couple Sony people. They're like, hey, you should stay around for Ghostbusters. And I was like, and they were like, you should stay around Ghostbusters. Like, okay. So I took their advice, and then I ended up doing all the social media for New York Comic Con with Straw Hat Goofy. So I ended up covering it
That's great, dude.
But I walked off to the right while the credits were rolling to ask them about socials, what they wanted to cover. And then Jason and Ivan to my left, they would have been watching the crowd through like a little window.
Oh, that's cool.
So I got to be like, you guys just blah, 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 blah. It literally is what I always wanted Lethal Weapon 5 to be, which is a continuing, not a remake. Look at this. And I feel like they keep remaking.
I think that trend is starting to go.
Me too.
I think, you look at Matrix, right? They're not what was the other? Even this stupid Home Alone movie.
Still continuation.
It's a continuation. It's not a remake. People think that it was a remake. It wasn't. I think it looks terrible.
Yeah.
But I'd rather them go continuing the story because Buzz McAllister shows up in the trailer. Yeah. Right? He's as a cop now.
And this isn't as linear as that, to be fair. But it's the heart that's continuing on in a way that is
fine.
important. Yeah.
It's fine, but it's not a remake.
Right.
And that's the problem that a lot of these movies had. They were trying to remake stuff. You don't need to remake it. Tell it I every time this conversation comes up, I keep bringing it up, and I'm going to continue to. For the longest time, and I think people are coming away from it, it was so taboo to even mention doing another Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Right? What if somebody, not Tom Holland now, because it's always Tom Holland that's doing anything, but imagine like someone like Tom Holland who finds the DeLorean.
Right.
In a certain period in time, and then has to
go back to 1992.
Wherever
because that would be 30 years ago, which haunts me.
Crazy. But wherever he goes, but you can do another Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Without Michael J. Fox. You can do it. don't make the person Marty.
You know what?
Don't make a new Doc.
Yeah, that's what they keep doing. They had been doing.
Were doing.
Yeah,
and
which doesn't work.
I think they're going away from that. I think that because there's still this thing now. Every time a movie comes out inside of the franchise, they're like, "Oh, why are they remaking it?" They're like, "They're not. They're doing continuation of it. You know, they're doing a different." That's working more.
I love what JJ did, and I was surprised more didn't do it. The prequel, sequel, reboot. Like what he did with Star Trek.
Oh, right.
That first Star Trek was all of it. They managed to do all, and that's the multiversal stuff we love.
It's so funny with that one, because I've never been a Star Trek fan.
Yeah.
So I don't care if they move things around and
Fair.
do things. But the Star Trek hardcores, like Star Trek hardcore, like Robert Meyer Burnett was like, you know, he's like a hardcore. He wants nothing to do with changes and stuff too. And there's a lot of people that are like that, and I get that, and I respect that. But I like when they change it up. I like when they switch things around, and I think that for Ghostbusters, that's why I thought with the Paul Feig one that they made with the ladies, to me it had nothing to do with the fact that they were ladies. Like those are all talented women.
Impossibly.
It should have been connected to the overall story,
and it didn't feel like a Ghostbusters movie. My issue, it felt like a Paul Feig film, which is great. I like his movies, but they're not Ghostbusters movies.
No, it didn't. And the way that you're playing off. The opening trailer seemed like it was connecting, and it has nothing to do with it. Like that's hard to do when you're talking about an IP, because that one was remaking and doing this thing, and it doesn't matter if it was for women, for men. In that particular thing, the way that was set up, it was my opinion, bad approach on how to do it.
Yeah,
it's nothing against all of those.
Sure, the people talented.
They're all of them. Yeah. All of them. But it just. The movie itself just didn't hit for me, and I love Paul Feig.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it just felt like one of his films, not like a Ghostbusters film.
Yeah, just so and
this feels like an Ivan Reitman film.
That's cool.
And I really like that Jason Reitman, like he always said he'd never make a Ghostbusters film. This idea was good enough that it made him make this happen.
Yeah. So there's look at that. We covered Dune, Ghostbusters, and obviously Eternals. And then, you got Matrix coming out, which is going to be massive.
I'm excited for Red Notice. That comes out soon.
That trailer just dropped, too, right? So what did you
Yeah.
think about it? I know that I think we briefly talked about it on our Spider-Man thing, and it's been out now for the public for probably a couple days, the Uncharted trailer.
I liked it, but I expected a Mark Wahlberg movie, and I feel like a lot of people didn't. So I feel like the thing I got out of it was like, okay, Mark Wahlberg's in it. It's kind of the thing they do with him.
He's just playing Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, that was the most disappointing part of the trailer for me. It was when he was cast. I like Mark Wahlberg, but when he was cast, I said he doesn't fit Sully. Did you play the game?
Casually, I haven't beaten it, but I'm aware of it.
Aware of it.
Yeah.
So he doesn't fit Sully at all. Someone who had said it, I think Malcolm said it on SCN Live. The way that Bruce Campbell was in Burn Notice.
Yeah.
That's Sully.
Yeah,
That's
I like
Sully.
that a lot.
That's Sully.
But I mean, since I expected it 2 years ago, the trailer's what I expected. You know what I mean? I've had 2 years to buffer.
Yeah, people have more of a problem with Tom Holland as Nathan Drake than I do. I don't have a problem. It's a prequel series. He's younger. He's witty and stuff. I don't have a problem with him. I think it's just because he's so connected to Spider-Man now that people just see Spider-Man as, and that's fair. But I don't have a problem with him. And it's not even necessarily I have a problem with Wahlberg, but I have to be able to tell myself, do not expect the Sully that you know from the games.
That's exactly how the trailer felt.
Yeah.
And to me, like, I mean, I grew up 20 minutes from his neighborhood, so there's a Boston bias. But I know Mark Wahlberg movies are a thing I like. I just have to accept that before I go buy an Uncharted ticket.
Right.
So I don't know if I'm ever going to get an Uncharted movie that feels like the game to me.
No, but but him jumping on those boxes,
awesome.
That reminded me of the game.
Sure. I think that's the Venn diagram we're going to get. Is we have to accept both things.
The mission itself looked like the game. It
100%.
felt like the game. It just felt like a different character was helping him through it.
Yeah.
With Sully. It's it was legit just every character Mark Wahlberg has ever played.
Yeah.
That it wasn't Sully.
So you just have to accept it's Mark Wahlberg's Uncharted.
That's what you have to do.
It's him in the video game. Like,
yeah.
Hey, Mark Wahlberg's here to guide you through, kid. Like, it's not Sully.
Right. No. And I think that is an easier said than done thing of asking video game fans to forgive that.
Yeah.
Because for me, like I said, I love the game. I love all the games. But I'm not as attached to it as I'm not a hardcore gamer. Never have been. But
it's just a lot of time.
Did
you see the Ambulance trailer?
No, I know that came out too. Who is that?
It's Jake Gyllenhaal and Yaya in a Michael Bay joint.
Oh, okay.
So it's literally insane.
I always get upset when I hear Michael Bay made another movie.
Dude, it's his it looks more like his Pain and Gain and his 13 Hours and The Rock than his Transformers Pearl Harbor. If that helps, which helps me.
It does. Where I'm not a big Pain and Gain fan.
Okay.
but I understand the point.
Sure.
My
it's
reason
excess for excess.
My reason for Pain and Gain is that I think that he turned that movie. The movie is a full on there was kind of tragic thing that really
and he
happened.
made it a joke.
He made it a joke.
Yeah, that's hard. I get that.
But the movie itself is it's to your point. It's a better, well-made film. The same way 13 Hours is.
Right. It's using his strengths instead of distracting from them. I always feel like Michael Bay is told to be over there. I'm like, why don't you just let him be? And then Pain and Gain was that.
Right.
This looks like that. This is like, what if there's a heist and they steal an ambulance? Like that's a Michael Bay plot.
Yeah.
So I dug it, and Jake Gyllenhaal looks like the bad guy. Which is a nice turn. Like I'm excited to see that. He looks like that local scumbag, that guy everyone knows that no one deals with.
Nightcrawler though,
dude. Well, that's like a villain. This feels like a scumbag.
Okay.
So it's cool to see him as that. Oh man, Nightcrawler's one of the best performances of all time.
Gypped.
That is one of the great Oscar snubs ever.
Not even nominated.
Yeah. That and Prisoners are like what a year he had.
Right, but not even nominated for that movie.
Disgusting.
Nightcrawler. That's crazy. Can you bring up? Do you mind bring up who was nominated
that year?
Yeah, because I from what I remember that everyone that was nominated, I'm like, yeah, they're all really good, but somebody could have probably gotten the boot over him.
For him, yeah.
Because he was so good in that role.
So it came out in 2014. Would that be the 2015 Oscars?
Yeah. When the 2015 Oscars aired, it would be for 2014.
So I look up 2015 Oscar nominees. And
I guess.
That's what I'm wondering. Because February 2015, movie came out in 2014, so that'd be right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Best Actor, Eddie Redmayne, who won. Michael Keaton for Birdman, Benedict Cumberbatch for Imitation Game, Bradley Cooper for Sniper, Steve Carell for Foxcatcher.
See, Steve Carell.
I'm booting Carell, I'm sorry.
I would have put Steve Carell as supporting actor.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have put him as the lead
because he's got 30 minutes of screen time.
But he's not the lead.
Right, it's Channing Tatum's lead.
And Ruffalo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I would
have put him in the supporting. I think I think either Ruffalo or Tatum was nominated also. That's probably, but I would have taken those guys out. We're positive that was the same year. What year did Foxcatcher come out?
Let me look that up.
Because that should be that'll give us
tell us the context.
That'll tell us the context of it.
2014. So that's the right year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I move Carell to supporting. Yeah. Because Gyllenhaal in that is one of the great performances.
And and so Eddie Redmayne was really good in that movie though.
Yeah, that was actually a more stacked year than I remembered. Because I remember just being upset. I didn't remember the competition. Yeah, I just remember. Yeah.
And even Carell was great in that role, but it just to me that's not a lead role.
And Nightcrawler, he's like 80% of that movie, maybe 90.
He's the movie.
But even screen time, it's on Rene Russo occasionally and stuff. But it's a Gyllenhaal.
It is
character study.
It's Gyllenhaal joint.
And him as the villain looks fun, and then Yahya Abdul-Mateen, I would argue, is one of the most consistent resumes in town.
Yeah,
between the drama of, it's the Watchmen guy.
Wait, who am I thinking of?
He's Dr. Manhattan.
I haven't seen Watchmen.
Have you seen
who am I thinking of?
Have you seen Aquaman?
Yes.
Black Manta.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but he's also in Matrix. He's Morpheus. This guy.
Yeah.
But if you think about his career, he's got Candyman for horror. He's got Trial of Chicago 7 for drama. He's got action. So he's
one of the up
and
and
checking
coming.
everything off.
Totally.
And now he's doing a Michael Bay film. So I'm like, this guy's team, his agents are genius. They're like, what if you do every kind of movie and team up with Jake Gyllenhaal with Michael Bay?
It's amazing how people don't understand the behind the scenes of it all, how important having the right team of agents and everything is, because I always bring up Zac Efron, right? Whoever Zac Efron's agents were, I don't know if he still has the same. They were doing him wrong for a long time. He's talented,
so talented.
He's just done some shit.
Yeah, he's my Human Torch man.
Yeah,
because he's helping the planet, and he's looks like he does. He's got arrogance, but he's a nice guy.
What do you think's going on with Fantastic Four? Bringing that up,
I think it's coming. I think
soon?
It's
so we're in 2021. When do you think we see a Fantastic Four film?
2024.
Wow. That soon?
Yeah. Late. I would put it Christmas 2024, and I would make that the marketing.
So you think Disney Plus, they announced, because Disney Plus has that announcement meeting.
Not this year, next year. I think they're filming it in secret.
Really? So you think they're going to announce within a year that the movie's coming out? They never do that. They usually, it's always.
I think X-Men and Fantastic Four are going to be like, hey, by the way, I think it's going to be way more of a mic drop.
So I think we get a Fantastic Four movie. I think it's 2025.
Okay. We've already got Kang, which makes me think it's sooner. Because Kang is his grandfather, or depending on the continuity, his father.
Yeah, did they set it up anywhere? Or it looked like they were kind of setting up in WandaVision, but they didn't.
Right. So I feel like Fantastic Four is going to be sooner, and I also feel like we're going to get a little distance between the X-Men, but I feel like the X-Men are going to be cast in secret, and then we're going to get a big... I think they're waiting for a Hall H moment where they bring out the entire Fantastic Four and then the entire X-Men, and it's going to...
like D23 or something?
Yeah. But it's going to be one of those Avengers Assemble moments where they're going to have it done,
right,
and then they're going to be like, by the way, it comes out in this year.
It's interesting. There's so much coming out.
I think 2024 was their goal. It might have shifted because of COVID, because the stack of movies just moved.
Right.
But I think from the beginning, every time they showed that 4 in Phase 4, which is the Fantastic Four, I was like, oh, Kevin Feige's going to be that guy that's like, comes out 2024, Phase 4. Like, I think that was the goal, might have moved, but that's what I would have done.
Yeah, because he's a big Fantastic Four guy, isn't he? Yeah.
And he's a big, like, enjoys the symmetry of numbers thing. They moved, I told you the June 16th thing, right? Loki, you've seen Loki. Yeah. You know when the multiverse kicks off?
Yeah.
That episode aired on June 16th. Yeah. They moved it from Fridays to Wednesday, remember?
Sure.
The other shows were on Friday. Yeah, they moved it to Wednesday.
Yeah.
Loki was on Wednesday. Wednesday, June 16th. That is 616. The regular Marvel Cinematic Universe that launches the multiverse is the 616 universe.
Oh, is there? Oh, okay.
Come on.
That's what
they literally moved the date to give Kevin Feige an Easter egg.
Got
so
it.
I guarantee if he can do 2024, he's going to make it happen.
Okay. That makes sense. That's a lot. See, like that's more dense than Eternals. that whole thing that you just said was more dense than the entire Eternals.
Yeah. So if you guys track that, Eternals is for you.
But yeah, so there's a lot going on in both, and we didn't really talk about it much. I thought DCFandome was great.
I loved it, dude. The Batman trailer. I cannot stop thinking about it. It's my phone background.
It was incredible.
I can't stop.
Yeah, it was great. So it was funny because I saw all these, and I talked about it in the episode I think with Steph when we talked about it. But like, I thought it was so silly. There were people who were talking about how they thought that the event itself wasn't good. It was a Comic-Con.
It was a Comic-Con.
It's like walking into an event and saying, okay, well they're talking about comic books. I don't necessarily like that, so I'm gonna wait until like the movie panel, and I'll do that.
And it was during a plague. Like at the end of the day, these movies have all been delayed. At the end of the day, they've had to like. So when people are like, it didn't give us enough new stuff, I'm like, the people that 750,000 people have been not making movies because they died. Like it's been a tricky time. I thought they leveled up beautifully.
I thought it was good. I still think that I understand why, because of the international audience. I think Tiffany Smith should just hosted the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with bias.
No,
it was just the fact that I think that one particular host, and she's so welcoming and everything too, and I just think that would have served a little better. I thought some of the jokes were cheesy, some of the things missed, but that happens in every panel. How many panels have we seen for people talking about like,
this is another 40 minutes, and I've got to wait for that to get my seats. Yeah, no, this didn't have any of that.
No, it did some of it, but Wonder Woman panel was great. The 80 years thing, I thought that, and the trailers that they showed, I would have, it would have been nice to see some kind of trailer with Aquaman, because if they could put together, the
behind the scenes stuff was pretty.
It was cool,
but they started filming in July.
When did they start filming Flash?
Flash wrapped the day after Fandome.
Oh, it wrapped. Though. Okay.
So that movie was more done.
So at least they had some. Yeah, but I always remember when Guardians of the Galaxy, the first movie, came out, they were filming for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that was nuts. They flew him in and they flew him back.
But they put together it was like a full-on trailer.
James Gunn's like a different kind of genius.
But like, they could have done that.
I feel like James Wan is a more ponderous director than people give him credit for. I feel like James Gunn more of a music video.
Yeah, but you could have done a minute and 30 of the footage. If you had
Shazam gave us some footage. It was more,
but it was still behind the same thing with Shazam. I think that because if you could put in a minute and 30 on those two, that's the only thing for those two that I would like to see a little bit more. Behind the scenes stuff was cool. They clearly have a good vision of it. So the Black Adam didn't start. Black Adam just started filming. Yeah, and they had a scene. Yeah, they showed a scene. Like that's what I meant. Like that Black Adam.
I would have preferred a scene than a trailer, only because of how far until they're done. Because if we're waiting 2 years, I don't want to know too much. A scene though, like Black Adam did it perfect.
Yes. And Black Adam, that reminded me of Terminator 1.
Yeah.
The way he shows up and
stunning,
all of it. So that's the kind of stuff that I want to see more of.
Yep.
But I thought it was a good event. I liked it, and it did make me say, okay, well, I don't do the Red Sox Yankee thing for DC and Marvel. I watch them as a fan on both. So I it's more about like, what's Disney going to do now? It's like no more than I want to see what kind of stuff do they have.
What's the property? I'm more invested in the individual properties even than the unit. It's just Marvel happens to put out more. People are always like, you're a Marvel guy. I'm like, they've made more for longer, and they put out 5 times more a year so far. DC's starting to catch up, so you'll hear more about DC from me. My background is not Marvel.
Oh, it's so funny, dude, when I get that sometimes too. I'm like, look, guys, I know shit about Equal.
Yeah.
I asked Coy 75 questions on Eternals throughout
this means this.
What does this mean?
Who is that?
That's it. And I'm like, I don't pretend that I know about all this stuff. I go in as a fan of movies to watch these things. And for me, like the Star Wars is.
Yeah. And I would have been doing the same with you. If we saw Star Wars, I'd be like, what's that mean?
Jedi? Who's that? Right. Right. And so for me, the Disney Plus event, as cool as the Marvel announcements and all that stuff will be, and whatever trailers that they show, I'm hoping and crossing my finger. We're gonna see a Boba Fett trailer. That I know we're gonna see.
I think we're getting a minute Obi-Wan.
I hope so.
I think we'll get a little bit.
That's what because they're pretty deep into filming.
Yeah.
So that would be nice to see that trailer. That will steal the internet of the day if they release that.
Yeah.
We're not going to see anything Acolyte yet because I don't think they started. We could see something from Andor.
Sure.
Because Andor started filming already. So, and we still don't know what comes out first, Andor or Obi-Wan. So that hasn't really been confirmed. So I think you'll see trailers on at least, you'll definitely see Boba Fett.
Yeah.
You'll get news on Mandalorian because I think that Carl Weathers said they just started filming.
Yeah, I think we'll get a little taste.
I'm not sure, but
I think we're going to get a little bit of Black Panther footage. For whatever reason, I just have an instinct about it.
What do you think about all those Marvel pushes, by the way? I mean, my biggest thing was I understood why they do it. I think they got the hell out of the way of the Batman for Doctor Strange.
I think it's because the events that Doctor Strange needs to cover are bigger than they had anticipated the reaction being to. I think it's actually a positive versus I think inherently by saying run from Batman, it implies a negative. I think they just want to be able to make something that doesn't feel like they squished it. Because Doctor Strange, if you think about it, has to be the ending of WandaVision, the ending of Loki, the ending of it's so many things. I feel like if the movie isn't an Avengers level bow, they should have moved it, and I think that's what they did. The problem is you move the most.
You got to shift everything else.
Yeah, it's a cascade.
None of the movies took a big hit except Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
a year.
And I think that was also his injury.
It was his injury too, from what they were saying.
I think it's a combination of release dates and
they're probably like, hey, this is probably a good thing for us because he's injured. We need to move things around anyway.
Dude, 70-something.
He's gonna be like 81, man.
Yeah. Jesus. Is he 80?
I'm pretty sure he's like. I think he's like 81.
Oh my god.
I think.
Okay, hold on. Harrison Ford.
Well, at least when the movie comes out, he'll be 81 because that's next year. Or not next year.
He's 79 right now.
You're right. So he'll be 81 because it comes out in 2 years.
Damn.
Comes out in 2 years.
Spry though. Met him at that Ford Ferrari thing.
Yeah.
Lovely guy. Impossibly kind.
He was really nice. I got to talk to him for Force Awakens, and I remember he had mentioned something about the Falcon, and I was just like, oh.
He gave me one of my best hosting advice.
Oh yeah.
I thanked him for how he treats journalists, and I was like, you don't let people run you around. You give integrity. And he stopped, and he's like, I got one rule: if there's dead air, it's theirs. And I was like, it rhymes, and it hit me, and I got the point. And I'm like, yeah, if it's the host's job to make sure there's never a moment that makes the talent look bad. Yeah. It's on you. If there's dead air, it's theirs. And I've remembered that forever, and I got the point.
He was great.
I felt the power.
Yeah. Well, he's powerful, got the force. Dude. I just hope. I mean, that's another one where how they're gonna play with that. But it's so bizarre for me to say because I love Spielberg. It's one of my favorites of all time. I think it makes more sense to give that property to Mangold than it does have Spielberg do it.
I think so. Yeah. I think he's too tied to it.
Yeah.
I think Harrison is tied to the character. I think he's tied to the movies.
Yeah.
I think in a negative way.
Yeah. But look, this was a fun conversation. We ain't done with Eternals yet, man. We got a lot of Eternals to talk about because we have that spoiler review.
Yeah.
We'll be doing that. Again, the movie comes out this Friday. Coy and I will most likely drop the spoiler review on Sunday. So that way you guys can check it out. See, I mean, it's a possibility that we just drop it again on the Monday and that be the episode. We'll figure it out when we shoot the damn thing. We haven't done it yet. He's going to go see it again.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about it for sure. But thank you guys.
IMAX. Recommend IMAX. I mean, you the bigger and the sound design. Get in it.
Absolutely should. And thank you guys for joining us here today. Make sure you subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. Go to Spotify. Anywhere the podcasts are found. The big thing, subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you, everybody who's been leaving comments. I respond to all of them. You guys are the best. We'll be back on Wednesday with another show. And check out our reviews and our reactions and all that. Peace.